Hi everyone, this is AJ and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another movie review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new Bruce Willis movie, Apex. So let's talk about it. Okay, so this evening I had the opportunity to sit down and watch the movie Apex, 2021 film. Directed by Edward Blake. This movie runs for 90 minutes, thereabouts, give or take. Now, Edward Blake is also the writer of this, and as well as this, he's also written the Bruce Willis starring movies Cosmic Sin and Breach, a couple of the recent straight-to-video Bruce Willis movies. So, Bruce Willis has got second top billing in this movie, and Neil McDonough is the top billed star of the movie. Now, Neil McDonough has been in things like Band of Brothers. He was in Star Trek First Contact. I know I've recently seen him in Legends of Tomorrow and stuff. He's been in a lot of stuff. Do you know what I mean? He's not a bad actor. So this movie is basically about a fella who gets dropped onto an island and hunted by other individuals. So there was an appeal to me from that sort of aspect of the narrative. That sort of a story, I quite enjoy. So anyway, this film is set in the future because there is some sort of future technology stuff in it where people are able to transport from point A to point B, just like sort of Star Trek style, using these poles that I suppose are your transporters. Anyway, not that that's overly relevant. There's a hologram girl in it and all this sort of stuff. But basically, you've got Bruce Willis, who plays his character called Thomas Malone, who's in jail at the beginning of the film. And you've got this group of hunters who pay to hunt humans on this island. They're all well-to-do sort of businessmen types, sort of headed by Neil McDonough. And they're not really getting anyone who's a great hunt for them, someone who's much of a competition, and thusly Bruce Willis's name pops up. Now there's quite a bit of levity at this point in the film, levity in that the film's very self-aware, in that when the holographic girl is going through faces of people and Bruce Willis comes up, the guy who's selecting the people to be hunted turns around and says that this guy used to be something great and he's at the end of his road now. That's a quote from the film. Yes, he used to be something great and he's at the end of his road now. And I thought, that's very Bruce Willis. Yes, he did used to be something great. So anyway, obviously at this point I'm thinking, okay, well, Bruce Willis must have quite a big role in this movie because he's the fella being hunted within the woods. So he gets transported, airlifted into the woods in his container prison, and 6 guys who are hunting him, well, it's 5 guys, 1 girl, they turn up. Anyway, Bruce Willis manages to not so much talk them into, but these hunters start hunting one another and start killing one another. And you've got Bruce Willis running around the woods. This film sort of defies logic in that, Bruce Willis is dressed in these clothes. He's got a black t-shirt on, but yet he's got a red jacket on, and he's running around the woods in a red jacket. And you're thinking, well, take that off and wear the black to start with, at least, right? Do you know what I mean? These sort of silly things. So the hunters start killing one another. When they've all killed one, when they're all pretty much dead, Neil McDonough calls in more hunters that they call mongrels, which are people just used to flush out the person or the animal being hunted. So Bruce Willis gets the opportunity to kill a load of people, just like bang, 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 dead. These people don't even get an opportunity in the film to do any acting. They just turn up, and then you got a show off between him and Neil McDonough at the end. And thusly, that's pretty much your film. Now, like I said, the film is quite self-aware in that you had this scene where the fella said he used to be something great and he's at the end of his road now. About 30 seconds after that, they're going through his rap list of things he's done, and they're having a look at what sort of injuries he's sustained in his career, because he used to be a policeman in the backstory of this. and they said that he's broken ribs and suffered concussion after jumping off the roof of a building. He's the sole survivor of a train crash, both hinting towards Die Hard and his role in Unbreakable. So yeah, but yeah, to be fair, Bruce Willis is okay in this film, but it's very obvious that for the most part he's not there with the other cast members. His stuff is probably filmed in a completely different location and at a completely different time, because he's never on scene. There's a scene where he pushes one of the hunters off of a cliff, but it's done in such a way that the camera cuts from the hunter seeing him running towards him, and then it cuts to a camera's eye view of the camera running up to the geezer as though the geezer's been pushed over. So it's very obvious that Bruce Willis isn't there. There's another scene between him and a hunter where Bruce Willis is behind a tree and the hunter's off in the distance and they're having a conversation. But it's being cut one to the other like that. There's one scene with Bruce Willis behind the tree and the hunter in the distance, but obviously that's easy to cut off. Cut down the centre and have two bits of film spliced together. Other than that, when they're facing each other, it's close up over the shoulder shots from either person's perspective, so you can only see the fella's shoulder or Bruce Willis's shoulder, but it's not Bruce Willis and it's not the other fella. It's obviously stand-ins for both of them at these times of filming. Bruce Willis does have a little bit of hand-to-hand with one of the characters towards the end, and then he's in a room with Neil McDonough at the end when he sort of dispatches him. So Bruce Willis wasn't on set for that amount of time. Bruce Willis must get on with this director, Edward Blake, because it's their third collaboration, like I said. But it does feel like, with a lot of the Bruce Willis bits, it does feel like he's just taken him out into the woods outside his backyard. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. It's some of the editing in the film is pretty poor. Bruce Willis has this cut that's appeared out of nowhere. You don't see him get it, and then as the film progresses, it becomes less visible, more visible, less visible, more visible. This sort of a thing going on. So I can watch this film and I can criticise this film in its production, in the way it's made from beginning to end. But to be fair, it's probably the best of Bruce Willis's crap that he's making at the moment. I think that's a fair summary of this film. It's got an appealing, appealing storyline in for me anyway, in that person's being hunted by other people. But ultimately, it feels like at one point in the film, I felt like I could pluck Bruce Willis out of this film. I could pluck his character and his story out of this film and have a film just about these hunters that are sort of turning against one another in this arena, in this hunting arena on this island. It's a one-time watch only. I wasn't bored. I was very critical, but Bruce Willis was awake during this film. He didn't feel like he phoned it in. He felt like he was awake, and he was having a little bit of fun, I suppose. So that's the best I can say about this film. I don't really know what else to tell you. I mean, the musical score is nothing to speak of. Like I said, it's edited not particularly well. I don't even know if I could recommend it to you. It doesn't bore. Yeah, and like I said, summary of this film, my thoughts on it. It doesn't bore, and it's the best of the worst of what Bruce Willis has done. Let's just put it that way. And is that high praise indeed? I don't know. But anyway, so this is AJ. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care all, and goodbye.